Do you continuously create goals for yourself just to throw them out after like a week or two? Do you feel like whenever you pursue your goals, it's always one step forward, two steps back? What if I told you that with one tiny, simple correction to your mindset, you could defeat this cycle once and for all and finally start achieving your dreams? I have personally utilized this mindset switch to transform me from someone who was disempowered and depressed into somebody that has created and maintained a healthy lifestyle, started my own business, and has learned to love myself. Today, I'm going to explain to you how I did it and how you can do it too. You have these great ideas that you want to improve your life with and that you know would help. Yet you continuously put these ideas off until tomorrow, and then the next day, and then the next. Or you make one little mistake and then your track record is thrown off. So now you have to start all over again from scratch, right? But what if that's not actually the case? What if the problem is not you, but the way that you're thinking about your goal to begin with? In this video, I want to explain to you why you do this, the problems that it causes when it goes on in your life unchecked, and at the end of the video, I'm going to take you step by step through the process that I still use to this day to conquer this issue whenever it shows up in my own life. First things first, you can't really fix the problem if you don't know what it is, right? The problem isn't that there's something wrong with you. It's that you're giving up when you've made a mistake instead of acknowledging it and correcting yourself. And unless you correct this mindset, you'll never achieve your goals. Think about it this way. If you're following a GPS to a specific destination and you make a wrong turn, do you continue to drive in the opposite direction of where you're trying to get to? Or do you stop and acknowledge, oops, I've made a wrong turn, reroute to your intended destination, turn around and go back the way you came, and keep going in that direction so that you can get to where you actually want to be? It would make no sense to keep driving north if you need to go south to get to where you want to be, right? Well, the same thing applies to us on our journeys and with our goals. When you make a decision or a mistake that goes against what you're working for, don't allow yourself to keep building momentum in the wrong direction. If you've decided that you're going to cut down on sugar in your diet, and then you get presented with donuts at the office for a meeting and you take a few, don't give up on your goal just because you made a mistake. If you decided to cut down on social media usage and you find yourself scrolling for a few hours because you got bored, don't just commit to that wrong turn and keep going in the wrong direction. Get off of your phone. If you've decided that you're going to go for a run in the mornings whenever you first wake up, but you skipped it this morning because it was rainy or you didn't feel like it, don't just skip your run for the day. Do it at a different time, like after lunch or before dinner, even if it's not at the time you initially planned. Excuses. You make excuses to avoid taking responsibility for your goals, whether that means convincing yourself not to work on them at all or just coming up with reasons as to why you're not working on them right now. Maybe you just tell yourself you'll start again tomorrow. And this is actually you putting it off due to a fear of success, because if you were successful, that means you'd actually have to change. And change is nerve-wracking, even if it's a good change that you really want. You might try to convince yourself that you just don't like the goal as much as you thought you did to begin with. This is likely a fear of failure because you're trying to protect yourself from the possibility of you not being able to do it. You're taking the failure personally instead of using it as a tool to better yourself. Or you might say that you've already messed up today and that you might as well spend the rest of the day business as usual because you've already screwed your track record. This is textbook perfectionism, and this is a big issue because you will never be perfect. And until you get over that, you will always hold yourself back. I've done all of these. And I'm also going to be covering these in upcoming videos, so stay tuned for that. I could think of countless excuses I've made over the years that have hindered my own personal progress. When I was creating a healthy lifestyle, I would constantly make excuses for why I didn't need to eat healthy or exercise for a few days. For the first 3 years of trying to start my business, I would frequently make these big plans to develop it, and then I would just put it off until tomorrow to start it, and then the next day, and then the next day, and it would just go on and on and on, and I would never make any progress because I just kept making excuses. And I want to talk about the danger of excuses. The easiest and most destructive way to make sure that you keep setting yourself back with your goals is to make excuses. And I say this lovingly because it took me a really long time to realize this myself. But there's a very important reason I bring this up. Excuses are dangerous and sneaky, and they are also usually a sign of learned helplessness, which is when you give up trying to change your circumstances because you believe that you have no control over them. That's a big issue. When you make excuses, you're not just stopping the progress towards your dreams, you're also disempowering yourself. You're convincing yourself slowly that you aren't capable of doing it at all, and that eventually bleeds out and affects your confidence in other areas of your life. If you keep making excuses for yourself, you will never feel that temporary discomfort that you need to push yourself into new territory in life. Because remember, your goal is somewhere different from where you are now. That's why it's a goal, right? So you have to be temporarily uncomfortable while you go through the changes that you need to take you there. When you make excuses, you gradually forget the power that you have. Then you really do have to start all over again with your goal because you don't believe in your ability to even get there anymore. In my own life, after years of making excuses and avoiding responsibility for my goals, I eventually lost faith in my ability to achieve those things at all anymore. I became really discouraged, and I eventually got to a point where I just lied down and took it because I didn't even want to get up and try because I had this assumption that no matter what, I was going to fail. Then I really did have to build my confidence back up from zero. And at that point, I was so ready for change that I was ready to embrace the idea that slow and imperfect progress was better than no progress at all. And it took me hitting rock bottom to realize that. But that was the realization that I needed the entire time. And since that time, I have learned that it is far more difficult and inefficient to rebuild your confidence from scratch than it is to just slowly but consistently build it throughout the journey to your goal. We're now aware that the key issue is you giving up on your goals when you've made a mistake instead of correcting them. But why? Why would you continue to self-sabotage your goals and dreams? Well, assuming that you do actually care about this goal and you didn't just create it on a whim, it's because you don't believe in your ability to accomplish it. But the only way out of this problem is through it. You can only become confident in your ability to accomplish things when you learn to keep showing up for them, even if your progress is messy. Once you switch your mindset and stick around long enough to see real results, you will truly understand that messy progress is a natural and unavoidable part of the process, and it's going to be a lot easier to stay committed to your goals from then on. I also just posted a video about this, so make sure and check that out too. So now we know why we do this and how it affects our lives when it goes unchecked. So here's the process that I use to course correct whenever I make a wrong turn. First, acknowledge. Stop and acknowledge that you've just made a wrong turn. So I'm going to use the example from earlier about cutting out sugar and then having some donuts at the office meeting to illustrate this process. So with this example, you would stop, you would acknowledge, I said I was going to cut down on sugar and I just had a few donuts. I have made a wrong turn. Second, be honest. Be honest with yourself that you feel disappointed about having made a decision that was out of alignment with your goal. You might say, well, I feel frustrated and I feel disappointed in myself because I was making really good progress and now I don't feel so good about my journey. Third, forgive yourself. Forgive yourself for making a mistake because at the end of the day, you're only human and you're learning to do things differently, but that's hard. You're doing the best that you know how right now. And also remember that it's your inner child that's trying to keep you safe in that comfort zone. So, in order to learn to do things differently, you have to be the brave one and gently and compassionately show that inner child that you are ready to make those changes by committing to them, sticking to them. And for this example, you might say, it's okay because I know that I'm learning and I'm doing the best that I can, and there will be slip ups like this. And that's okay. It's not the end of the world. I'm just going to keep going in the right direction and I'm going to make sure I do better in the future. There are multiple ways to help you forgive yourself or comfort yourself after you've made a wrong turn. You can do a visualization to help you let go. You can do affirmations, journaling, EFT tapping, or if need be, you can also talk to somebody that you trust. You can also find a ton of resources on YouTube. Number 4 is to reflect. Do you know what prompted you to make that mistake? How do you feel things could have gone differently? Just spend a moment reflecting on the incident so that you can extract the wisdom from it and do better next time. Because when you get good at recognizing this, you'll be able to see it coming and prepare yourself. That way, when the trigger shows up, you won't let it influence you. For this example, you might say, well, they got the donuts from this place and they're so good and I never get to have them except for these meetings and I always really look forward to them, and I don't know, maybe instead of 3 donuts, maybe I could just treat myself to 1 and eat a really solid, hearty breakfast beforehand so it doesn't spike my blood sugar as much. 5, give credit. Give yourself credit for stopping and acknowledging the problem and how far you've already come just by doing this, because the old you wouldn't have done this, right? Revel in the fact that you are transforming into a new person. In this example, you giving yourself credit might look like you telling yourself, okay, well, you know what? I used to just throw the whole day away whenever I made a mistake, but I'm stopping right here, right now, and acknowledging that. And for that, I'm proud of myself. 6, correct. Use this opportunity to strengthen your positivity and self-trust muscles by correcting your mistake as best you can. Correcting yourself might look like you saying to yourself, okay, well, I made a mistake earlier today and I want to stay on track. Just do the best that you can going forward. Stay on track moving forward. 7, remind. Remind yourself that any progress is better than no progress, and keep going. And in this example, just remember that you're still making progress. Maybe you slipped up once today, but you used to slip up multiple times a day at the beginning of your journey. Even though you may still have slip-ups, even though you may have messy progress, you're still making progress. You have to learn to embrace the journey. If you never take your goals seriously until tomorrow, but tomorrow never comes, you'll never make any progress. If you believe that you have to want to do it every single time, you'll never even try. If you believe that you have to do it perfectly for it to mean something, then you'll never get started. Do yourself a favor and get comfortable with the fact that you will make mistakes, that you make progress today and not tomorrow, and that you will never, ever, ever be able to do it perfectly all the time. Learning to keep showing up whenever you get off track is one of the most important and powerful mindset changes that you can possibly make when it comes to achieving your dreams. The reality is that you are an imperfect person, just like me, just like every other human that ever has and ever will exist. You will make mistakes, and that's normal. You absolutely can and will achieve your dreams if you continue to press on. So remember that you hold all the power. And when you make a wrong turn, all it takes is a simple mindset switch to get yourself back on track to where you really want to be. So don't let those mistakes discourage you. So comment below because I want to know, is there a goal in your life that you've been struggling to show up consistently for? I would love to hear you guys' answers, and I'm sure the other community members would love to get inspiration from your stories as well. But thank you so much for watching, and I really hope that you gained something useful from this video. If you're interested in working one-on-one with me, check out the link in the description to book a discovery call. And make sure to subscribe for more content like this. A like, a share, a comment are all incredibly helpful for my channel and to get this video out to more people like you. Thanks so much for stopping by, guys. I'll see you in the next one.